Welcome to the UFC weigh-in on Fuel TV. The world's biggest MMA organization is back on Fox, and the Garden State will be rocking. In the main event, lightweights collide. Nate Diaz hasn't lost since returning to 155 late last year. Will New Jersey's own Jim Miller put a stop to his winning ways? Plus, Josh Koscheck and Johnny Hendricks lock him up. This is the UFC weigh-in show on Fuel TV, and it starts right now. Here's a look inside the Izod Center in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where in just over 24 hours, Nate Diaz will face off against Jim Miller in a bout that could determine the next #1 contender for Benson Henderson's lightweight title. And with that, we welcome you inside the Fox Studios in Los Angeles, California. Karen Bryant alongside two-time #1 lightweight contender Kenny Florian, and the man who holds the title Nate and Jim are scrapping for, of course, Benson Henderson. And can we call you Ben today? Benson?
That works.
Ben?
That works.
All right. I don't know if we decided, but we're going to go with Ben. So, guys, your weight class is going to be on display tomorrow. How excited are you to see the lightweights get this big-time show?
You know, very excited, and these guys deserve it. You know, what you get with the lighter weight classes really is action-packed fights. You know, these guys are so well-rounded, so fast, and you get a great balance of power, technique. You get the whole package.
Yeah.
And seeing how heavyweights always get so much of the limelight through our entire careers, it's nice to finally have the lightweights get, you know, that limelight, get in the spotlight to show their skills, you know.
Definitely. I've always been a fan of the lighter weight classes. It's cats in a bag. You guys don't stop. I love it. Well, fight fans, we want you guys to be a part of today's conversation on Twitter as well. Tweet your thoughts using the hashtag #FightNight and also follow us at Fuel TV. Well, there is no time to waste. We're going to take a closer look at the lightweight clash. Nate Diaz has been on a roll since returning to 155 pounds last year. He capped off 2011 with a huge win against Donald Cerrone. He looked amazing in that fight. Now, guys, Diaz is known for throwing punches and bunches. Do you think this is the right strategy against Jim Miller?
Without a doubt. But he has to keep Jim Miller on the outside. Everything comes off of his jab. He has the longer reach, so he has to use that. And that's a lot of times why he gets off to a slow start. He gets his jab going, and then from there, he picks you apart. He's going to have to use that against Jim Miller, and we know how good his transitional game is once he hits the mat.
Completely agree. Nate has to keep him at the end of his long reach, and he has to do a good job of not walking straight into Jim. He can't just walk forward. He has to use his angles. He has to use his long reach and his good angles to not just get taken down.
Well, of course, it's not going to be an easy task as he takes on Jim Miller. Jim has won 9 of his last 10, with the only loss coming against you, Benson, and that was a great fight. What makes him such a tough opponent?
For me, when I fought Jim, he was such a tough opponent because he's so tough. He's just a tough guy. He's very well-rounded, good striking, good wrestling, good takedowns, good everything, but he's just a tough guy.
Yeah, and he's a smart fighter. You know, he's a guy who knows what works best for him. He'll set up his punch, he'll set up his takedowns with his strikes, gets you up against the cage, brings you to the mat, and he's very comfortable there. He has an excellent submission game. We know that Diaz is excellent there as well, but he's gonna really have to be sharp on the mat, but really use his wrestling in this fight.
It is gonna be a terrific fight. I cannot wait. Now it is time for us to check in with the 4th member of our team, Ariel Helwani, who is in New Jersey with more on our main event. Ariel, take it away.
Karen, this is the tap-out shirt that Jim Miller will wear as he walks out to the cage on Saturday night, and it's not your ordinary walkout shirt. Now, Tap Out has decided to donate $10 for every shirt sold to the Daniel James Miller Foundation. Danny Miller was born in January of 2010. He is the nephew of Jim Miller, the son of fellow UFC fighter and brother Dan Miller, and he was born with a rare kidney disease. And ever since then, he's been battling it. In a couple of months, he will receive a transplant. It's obviously very costly, and the family has decided to set up this charity to pay for those costs. The MMA community has rallied around it, and this is just another example of that. If you guys want to learn more about the foundation, you could go to DanielJamesMillerFoundation.wordpress.com, and you can purchase the shirt over at tapout.com. Karen?
All right, thank you very much, Ariel. A little extra motivation in there for Jim Miller tomorrow night.
Absolutely can provide a lot more motivation for Jim Miller. This is a huge fight for him, obviously, but it's also a great reminder that there are bigger fights outside the octagon.
I really just love seeing the show of support from the MMA fans, from the MMA community, everyone coming together to support such a great cause.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, when we come back on Fuel TV, all the fighters hit the scale in East Rutherford, and all eyes will be on the two men walking to the stage last. Will we see any pre-fight drama from the unpredictable Diaz? And how will the hometown crowd react to New Jersey-born Jim Miller? Joe Rogan will call the festivities in Jersey when we return.
What's up? What's up? Welcome to the weigh-ins, ladies and gentlemen. Ariani's the last. How about that? Dana White, without him, none of this would be possible. Lorenzo Fertitta, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Silva, Bruce Buffer, Burt Watson, babysitter to the stars. Let's get it cracking, folks. We have a hell of a card for you. Starting out in the middleweight division, Mike, the master of disaster, Masenzio versus Carlos Vemela. First on the stage, Carlos Vemela. $185. And his opponent, New Jersey's own Mike Masenzio. Masenzio, ladies and gentlemen, first fight of the night. Next up in the bantamweight division, Roland Delorme versus Nick Diaz. $135. And his opponent, Roland Delorme. Ladies and gentlemen, next fight live Next up on the scale, the Scarecrow.
145.
145 from Mr. Garza. And his opponent, Dennis the Menace Bermudez. Next up in the lightweight division, Danny Last Call Castillo versus John Cholish. For Mr. Cholish. And his opponent, Danny Last Call Castillo. From Last Call. John Cholish and Danny Castillo, ladies and gentlemen. Next up in the flyweight division, Louis Gaudino versus John Lineker. Time for the towel, ladies. That's what's up.
This is the guy that might be a couple over on 25. $127.
127. He has 2 hours to lose the additional 1 pound. And his opponent, Louis Gaudino.
126.
126 from Mr. Gaudino. John Lineker and Louis Gaudino, ladies and gentlemen. Next up in the welterweight division, John the Hitman Hathaway versus Pascal Kraus.
$169.
169. And his opponent, the Hitman, John Hathaway.
$169.
169 for the Hitman. Pascal Kraus and John Hathaway, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, also on Fuel TV in the flyweight division, John the Magician Dodson versus Timothy Elliott.
$125.
125. And his opponent, winner of the Ultimate Fighter, the Magician, John Dodson. Next up in the lightweight division, we got a barn burner, ladies and gentlemen. Tony El Kukui Ferguson versus Michael the Menace Johnson. $156 for Mr. Johnson. And And his opponent, winner of the Ultimate Fighter, El Cucuy, Tony Ferguson.
$154 and a half.
154 and a half. Michael Johnson and Tony Ferguson, ladies and gentlemen. All of this live on Fuel TV at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And now for the Fox card. In the heavyweight division, Pat H.D. Barry versus LeVar Johnson. First up on the scale, Big LeVar Johnson.
253.
253. And his opponent, Pat H.G. Barry. $244 from Mr. Barry. Heavyweight action to start off the Fox card, ladies and gentlemen. LeVar Johnson and Pat Barry. Next up in the middleweight division, Josimar Palhares versus Alan Belcher. First up on the scale, Alan the Talent Belcher.
Scale for me.
$186. And his opponent, Josimar Palhares. $186 for Toquinho. ladies and gentlemen, Alan Belcher and Husamar Palhares. Next up, the co-main event in the welterweight division, Josh Koscheck versus Johnny Hendricks.
$171 and a half.
171 and a half. Take the shorts off. Notice Ariani run.
$170 and a half.
170 and a half. That's some heavy shorts, ladies and gentlemen. I want to clean those. And his opponent from season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter, Josh Koscheck.
$170 and a half.
170 and a half. Johnny. All right, let's take a closer look at the two men involved in the main event of the evening.
I try not to define myself as one thing. I'm a father first. Everything else comes after that. Growing up in Jersey and wrestling, my brothers and I, we were always getting into it. I was always so small. But once I got a little bit bigger and then filled out, then it got a little more competitive.
Then take the leg.
Here at AMA, we train like professionals.
Back up quick, back up quick.
Everybody's trying to help everybody else.
Come with me.
My brother, Dan Miller, he's making his 170-pound debut in a couple months here. He has really shaped who I am as a person, not only as a fighter.
You know, both Jim and I fighting in the UFC, just growing up fighting, it's been a huge influence on me as a fighter.
Nice.
He works so hard. Jim, as a fighter and a person, is intense.
On the aggressive is Miller.
I don't think it's common to be at this high a level with a sibling fighting in the same organization with you. And Nate does have that similarity to me, and I know it adds a level to his game.
Nick always helps me, just being around him. He's the best fighter in the world, so I can't do nothing but listen.
See like a top grip, but I don't want to go like inside.
These guys, they really did come up together. It's something impressive. These guys really had to see that day in, day out, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. You know, it's real.
The training never stops. I just train for it like I'm going to kill or be killed, you know.
Outstanding performance by Nate Diaz.
This fight is huge for me personally and for the team as well. Main event of a Fox card in 30 minutes from the gym. I'm excited.
I'm always fighting people in their hometown. It's like behind enemy lines, so whatever. I ain't worried about it.
A win against Nate means that I beat a guy that's considered top 5 in the world. He is tough, but if my arms wrap around his neck, I'm going to choke him unconscious.
It's all over. Jim Miller locks up the submission.
It should be a fun fight.
Here we go, ladies ladies and gentlemen, first up on the scale, New Jersey's own Jim Miller.
$156.
156. And his opponent, winner of the Ultimate Fighter, Nate Diaz. From Mr. Diaz. Jim Miller and Nate Diaz, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm here with New Jersey's own Jim Miller. Jim, obviously this is a huge fight for you, the main event on Fox. How much more exciting does it make it for you to just be 30 minutes from the gym where you train?
It's really exciting. You know, first off, I want to thank the fans of the UFC. And, New Jersey fans, thank you guys for all your support. This is a huge fight. You've got two of the baddest men on the planet getting locked inside of a cage, and wherever this fight goes, however it goes, you guys are in for a treat tomorrow night.
Jim Miller, ladies and gentlemen, good luck to you, sir. All right, I'm here with Nate. Nate, obviously, this is a huge fight for you as well. You are knocking on the door right now of the top of the 155-pound division. Give us your thoughts on Jim Miller as an opponent and what tomorrow night means to you.
He's tough. He's a very good opponent. I train hard with the best team in the world in Cesar Gracie. And I'm here to represent for my team in California.
Can't wait to see it. Good luck to you, sir. Nate Diaz, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are tuning in, more coverage. I got notes, I swear. More coverage on Fuel TV. And then tomorrow night, the live fights are 5 p.m. East Coast time on Fuel and 8 p.m. on Fox. Thanks a lot. Good night, everybody.
Welcome back to the UFC weigh-in on Fuel TV. Tomorrow night, Nate Diaz and Jim Miller square up. Both men trying to get one step closer to Ben Henderson's title over there. And guys, I want to talk a little bit about Nick Diaz. You know, we talk about his boxing, but one thing that stresses me out a little bit about him is that he eats punches to give the punches. Is this going to be an issue tomorrow night?
He's got a great chin. He, of course, has to respect the power of Jim Miller, but more than anything else, he has to get his range going. It's going to come off of his jab. He has to keep him on the outside. and make sure that he keeps Jim Miller on the outside. And that's not only done with your hands, it's done with your footwork and how he moves around the cage. He's going to have to do that consistently. And much like my boy Benson over here, he has to use that very good technical jiu-jitsu game to always win the transition against Jim Miller.
I think another key part of his boxing, because we all know that Diaz really focuses on their boxing. He has to make sure he mixes up, go to the head and go to the body. If he can work Miller's body, he'll take a lot of fight out of Miller.
All right, well, speaking of Miller, he's fighting in front of the hometown crowd. Sometimes that's more pressure, sometimes that's inspiration. Now, you fought for the home crowd. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I fought in the home crowd, and many times it can be a blessing or it can be a curse. You get a lot of people going, hey, buddy, hit me up for tickets. I got to get tickets. You get everybody, putting the pressure on you, fighting in your hometown. It can definitely be a huge distraction. It can also be a motivating factor, hearing that crowd behind you. How is it going to be for Jim Miller? We're going to find out tomorrow night.
It definitely goes either way, like Kenny said. Sometimes it's really good for you, and it just, that much more motivation for you to do successful. All your friends are going to be there. Everyone you knew from elementary, oh, I know that guy. I went to elementary with them. They're all going to be there. So it goes either way, but it's a good motivation, I think.
Well, we can find out from the man himself right now. He is standing by with Ariel Helwani. That, of course, is Jim Miller. Ariel, let's send it down to you in Jersey.
Jim, this is not only the biggest fight of your career, but the biggest stage you've ever fought on. How have you remained focused throughout all of this?
I've got a really difficult task ahead of me tomorrow night, so that's where I've focused all my energy. It is a big fight. It is a big stage. That's the first time I've gotten chills, walking up to the stage to weigh in. But hopefully I can use that energy the crowd will give me tomorrow night and, just get after Nate and steamroll him.
You're fighting in your home state, of course. That's a very big deal. Do you like that kind of scenario, or would you rather fight maybe on the other side of the country?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me now. I've got 24 fights. I don't see past the chain link once I step into the octagon, so it doesn't matter where I am. It was nice not to travel, but other than that, I could care less.
Nate is taller than you, longer reach, great boxer. How do you plan to deal with that?
Fight my style. I'm aggressive. I come forward the whole time. I expect to be stronger than him. So, just try to keep the pressure on him and not let him use that reach and keep me outside.
You say fight your fight. What's Jim Miller's fight?
Aggressive, fast pace. Just every second there's going to be something coming at him.
Can't wait for it. Good luck on Saturday night.
Thank you very much.
Karen, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Ariel. Now, here's the thing, you guys, we were talking between the break with Donald Cerrone. He got drawn into Nate's fight. So let's talk about this with you, Benson. How do you stay, in your own mindset and fight your fight against Nate?
I think it's a good question for Jim. I think it's a big part of that is him needing to vary his strikes, not just throw punches with Nate, but throw your kicks, throw your knees, throw your elbows. You have to mix them up. You have to keep him thinking. He can't just throw punches, and that's all he's worried about is just your hands. He has to be worried about your kicks. He has to be worried about your elbows, everything.
Definitely. He has to take away the jab of Nate Diaz. He's going to do that by a lot of head movement. He has to move that head in order to get on the inside.
All right. Well, still to come. Josh Koscheck has left AKA and is fighting out of his own gym. Will the change in camp help or hurt the former Ultimate Fighter? And Johnny Hendricks is coming off the biggest win of his career against John Fitch last December. Can Hendricks continue the momentum in the Garden State? We talk Koscheck-Hendricks next. Welcome back into our Fox studios in Los Angeles. I'm Karen Bryant here alongside Kenny Florian and current UFC lightweight champion Benson Henderson. Now, of course, we have talked plenty about tomorrow night's event, but this card is loaded with great fights. We're going to send it right now back to Ariel Helwani, who is standing by with the two guys in our co-main event, Josh Koscheck and Johnny Hendricks. Ariel.
Johnny, Josh called your knockout of John Fitch lucky. So I'm wondering, do you think he respects you as a fighter?
Yeah. It's all about getting the fight hype, and he does a good job of it.
All right, well, good news is you're here, Josh. So do you respect Johnny's skills as a fighter?
I don't know yet. I think that, he did definitely, beat the number 2 guy in the weight class, and I think he's still got a lot to learn, as a fighter. So, Saturday night, I'm going to get to test those skills and see if he is a true fighter, and I have respect for him.
Johnny, a lot of people counting Josh out in this one. Do you think he's as good of a fighter as he was maybe a couple of years ago?
Oh, yeah. You know, you don't stay number 2 or number 3 in the world for so long without being a tough fighter. Just because he has one bad fight doesn't mean anything. You know, I'm expecting probably a better Josh than I've seen yet. You know what I mean? And that's what I prepared for.
And Josh, you came out swinging this week against my fellow media members, not happy with them, thinking that a lot of people are counting you out. And I've read the reports. Are you using this as motivation? Because from my perspective, it doesn't seem like a lot of people are actually really counting you out and saying that you're done.
Well, apparently you don't read my Twitter feed. You know, a lot of people are definitely counting me out on this fight. A lot of media, a lot of people are. And you know what's great about it is I like being the underdog, and I get a chance to prove them all wrong on Saturday, and that's why we get in there and we fight.
Johnny, this is the biggest fight of your career, the biggest stage you've ever fought on. How are you dealing with that?
It's another fight, you know what I mean? Let all that stuff, you don't have to do anything with that in your head, you know what I'm saying? Just go in there and it's another fight, you know?
All right, can't wait for it. Johnny Hendricks going up against Josh Koscheck tomorrow night on Fox. Karen?
All right, thank you very much, Ariel. Still to come, 2 of the top middleweights in the world will square off Saturday night. Husamar Palhares is one of the most dangerous fighters in all of the UFC. Will he be able to lock a leg on fight night, or can Alan Belcher step up in Jersey? The Belcher-Palhares breakdown is next. Welcome back to the UFC weigh-in on Fuel TV. Karen Bryant here alongside Kenny Florian and Benson Henderson, breaking down the UFC on Fox card, coming to you from the Izod Center tomorrow night in Jersey. Now, another great fight on this card is in the middleweight division between Husamar Palhares and Alan Belcher. Both guys made weight. Here's the thing. Palhares has really cultivated that fear of the leg knock. Isn't that true?
Yeah, without a doubt. I love watching this guy. You know, a lot of guys will jump guard and try to attack with a submission. He jumps immediately to a submission. He jumps to a dominant position, so he always has the advantage. And from there, his combinations for his leg locks is really as good as it gets.
Yeah, this is definitely my sleeper for Friday night. This is going to be a great fight. I love Palhares. His leg locks they scare me. He even looks at my feet, walks by, I get scared. It's going to be a great fight.
It is going to be a great fight. Well, when we return, we're going to talk to the newly crowned lightweight kingpin, Benson Henderson, about his upcoming rematch with Frankie Edgar. How excited is Henderson to make his first UFC title defense? And what has the new champ been doing since his win in the land of the rising sun? Stay with us on the UFC weigh-in on Fuel TV. Welcome back to the UFC weigh-in on Fuel TV. Karen Bryant with Kenny Florian and the lightweight champ Benson Henderson. Now, the lightweights are headlining tomorrow night. They are vying for a shot at Benson's belt, but the forgotten man might be Anthony Pettis. With more on Pettis and the lightweight title picture, let's go back to Ariel Helwani.
You know, Karen, Anthony really has become the forgotten man at 155, but that may all change very soon. I spoke to his manager, Mike Roberts, yesterday, and he said that Anthony is recovering very nicely from the shoulder surgery that he had a couple of weeks ago, and they are expecting him to return in September. Now, when you consider the fact that the Ben Henderson versus Frankie Edgar fight is probably going to happen around September, not August, as was originally reported, that means that the winner of tomorrow night's fight would have to sit out for around 9 months if they want to fight for the title. Enter Anthony Pettis. What I'm hearing, the winner of tomorrow night's fight will probably have to fight Pettis in order to determine the #1 contender in the lightweight division. So if Anthony comes back 100% healthy, he will fight tomorrow night's winner, and the winner of that fight will probably fight the winner of Benson Henderson versus Frankie Edgar for the title later on this year. Karen?
All right, thank you very much, Ariel. The plot thickens, Benson. How are you feeling about all this?
It's, you know, it's the way it goes sometimes. It's kind of funny how things play themselves out. Some guys are supposed to have this, you're supposed to have this. When you're fighting, you're at that level, you have to win every fight. It doesn't matter what's on the line. You have to win every fight. So that's the way I see it.
And are you comfortable with waiting till September? You were good to go in August.
I'm ready to go tomorrow. You know, I'll cut, you know, weight and make weight tonight, and I'll fight tomorrow. I'm always ready to go. September's a long ways to wait, though. It is a long ways out there.
Now, there was some talk about the fight possibly being in Denver, Colorado in August. Last time Frankie had a fight in Denver, didn't really go too well. He fought Greg Maynard. It was his first loss there. You know, what do you think about that?
You know, I have a lot of friends and family and stuff in Denver, so I would be perfectly comfortable fighting there. Elevation, the altitude doesn't really affect me, doesn't bother me too much. Denver, I actually would love to fight there, but you know, it's up to Dana White ultimately. It's up to what they say. I'm a company man. I say yes.
But there's no one you'd prefer to get in there and scrap with?
All of them. I want to defeat every 45 guy on the roster.
Very nice. I love a man with a lot of aggression, and he's just ready to go. Thank you, Benson. Well, that does it for us, but we will be back tomorrow. Action kicks off on Facebook, then come back to Fuel TV for the prelims, followed by the main card on Fox at 8 Eastern. And don't forget, right after the main event, we'll have all the post-fight coverage. Jay Glazer will be back in the host seat, Ariel Helwani with all the big interviews, and of course, Kenny Florian and Benson Henderson will be here to break it all down. So we'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks so much for watching. Coming up next on Fuel TV, it's the UFC prelims from Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit. Enjoy.